Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generation discussion on the fallout from Boruto Chapter 80. And today, we got a huge elephant in the room that we have to discuss now that Sarada has her Mangekyo Sharingan, which is the majority of the fandom are in fear that she's going to go blind. And in today's video, we're going to both address that, as well as one huge talking point that the community has brought up in several videos on Twitter and etc., which is Sarada being taught the Byakugo seal specifically for the intention of being able to fix any issues with their blindness. So since so many of you guys have proposed this method to me via DMs and over on Patreon, I'll be looking at the narrative impact on it that'll have in the story, as well as the pros and cons of both doing so in universe as well as from the writing perspective. So as we all know, Sarada, upon the combination of the events that transpired in the last chapter, ranging from the shock she felt when Naruto was proclaimed dead, to the helplessness she felt being unable to help Boruto while the whole village was hunting him down, to the despair she felt when she saw their own father was getting ready to hunt down Boruto with the intention of killing him because Sasuke believed Boruto had killed Naruto and Hinata. It led to Sarada's emotional plea for her father to save Boruto, and the Sharingan eyes that reflect the heart blossomed into a Mangekyo Sharingan. However, now that Sarada has the Mangekyo Sharingan, one has to wonder, what will she do regarding the blindness? Now, I've said this a few times, the awakening of the Mangekyo doesn't mean 1 month from now she's gonna go blind or begin to lose her vision. A lot of people point towards Sasuke going blind after only using Mangekyo for 3 fights, briefly against Killer Bee, against the Kage at the Kage Summit, and his battle with Danzo. All it took was Sasuke briefly using Susanoo against Kakashi, and the man's vision was shot before the battle with Kakashi in the manga could escalate any further. However, while the concerns of blindness are a very valid one, it's important to remember that Sasuke going blind so quickly is an exception to the rule based off what we've seen in the series so far. The Mangekyo loses its light eventually, that's not in dispute, but sometimes I think seeing how quickly Sasuke blew through his Mangekyo is giving people the wrong idea on how quickly it's going to burn out, due to the way that Sasuke was spamming the Mangekyo, in particular during the 5 Kage Summit. Shisui unlocked the Mangekyo at 7, and due to not spamming it, showed no signs of blindness before he died almost 10 years later. Fugaku had the Mangekyo for over a decade and showed no signs of blindness. Itachi had a handful of years after awakening his Mangekyo before he showed any vision problems. The difference between these characters and Sasuke is that each sparingly used their Mangekyo. It's obvious that Sarada has to keep in mind her use of the Mangekyo, just like Boruto has to keep in mind his personal hygiene and grooming habits while he's on the run as a rogue ninja, which means using Manscaped to keep that Uzumaki bush from growing too far. This video is going to be brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that's disrupting the men's grooming market. You see, gentlemen, men's grooming's come a long way in the past few years. Manscaped has created the ultimate men's grooming kit for the modern man, suitable for men who prefer a trim, a close shave, or anything in between. The Platinum Package 4.0 Grooming Kit by Manscaped is a kit that's worthy of a Kage. The best thing you can do to set yourself up for success is to have a strong shower game. Otherwise, you'll go through your day smelling like Kiba, and nobody wants to smell like Kiba, which is why it's important to start with the Manscaped Body Wash and the 2-in-1 shower and conditioner duo, which has helped me cut my shower time in half. And as someone who has dandruff and sensitive skin, I can say I'm personally adding both of these to my shower routine. They're made with all natural hydrating ingredients, and they're paraben free, they're cruelty free, they're dye free, and they're vegan. Whether you're going out on the town for business or pleasure, make sure you smell good. For your underarm, the aluminum free stick deodorant by Manscaped is your go-to. It smells good and it's clear, which is a huge plus. Even better, they don't just have deodorant for your underarms, they also have them for your balls too, with the Crop Preserver ball deodorant. Head to toe, you're going to be smelling amazing, fellas. You also get the Lawnmower 4.0 electric trimmer and Weed Whacker and nose and ear trimmer, built with skin safe technology to reduce the nicks and cuts you might get. If you opt into the Peak Hygiene plan, you'll get all your fave Manscaped products replenished, sent right to your door, hassle free. It's convenient, intelligent, and made for the modern man. You'll also get freebies like the Shed Luxury Travel Bag and the Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free international shipping and 2 free gifts when you use my promo code Naruto at checkout. That's 20% off plus free shipping and 2 free gifts using my promo code Naruto at manscaped.com. So the first thing we can say for certain is that the Byakugo seal does make a ton of sense for Sarada because of the obvious benefit that it would give her being able to push back the clock on her Mangekyo Sharingan going blind. It'd be something unprecedented to say the least, someone with the Mangekyo Sharingan and the Byakugo seal, and I'll go a step further and say it might very well be the sort of cheat code we've only seen one time in the series itself. Madara had completely lost the light of his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan following the battle with Hashirama, because with forward thinking, he programmed Izanagi into his eye before Hashirama fought him to activate in the event of his death several days later after he was killed. Madara was able to cheat death, but it left one eye being blind. However, when he awakened the Rinnegan, he was able to literally regain the light of his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, which had burned out, to use the Izanagi. The Rinnegan was able to fully restore the damaged eye back to peak efficiency. Sarada using the Byakugo seal to that effect would be a monster cheat code on that level. Essentially, in theory, it would be able to repair the damage that a Mangekyo receives while the seal itself is active. It gives Sasuke fans a sigh of relief. They don't have to worry about Sasuke showing up to that Uchiha barbecue in the sky with pork sandwiches that got extra mayo and pickles on them, because he died and gave Sarada his EMS. It also feels like it'd be the logical next step for Sarada, since it would fit into how Kishimoto originally designed her with the aspects of both of her parents, so it only makes sense that she gets the jutsu that her mother is most known for. The other benefit to this is that it would give Sarada a double amp in power in terms of a power-up. There is no set multiplier for how much stronger a Mangekyo Sharingan gives you. People make the mistake of saying, oh, Mangekyo Sharingan, Itachi level, Sasuke level, the same way people see Super Saiyan and say, oh, Super Saiyans are as strong as Goku on Namek. As I said in the past, the stronger your base, the stronger the benefit the Mangekyo gives you with the chakra boost, but we also know the power of the Sharingan, not just the Mangekyo, increases according to the emotions of the user, likely since the Sharingan is basically a Kekkei Genkai that's most closely associated with Yin chakra, and Yin chakra is directly tied into spiritual energy, which is partially rooted in the emotions of the user. It basically on its own has a sliding scale for power, but with the Byakugo, we have a monster power for Sarada that sometimes I don't think people truly appreciate how strong the Byakugo seal makes a person. People severely downplay it when they say, oh, Byakugo only got Sakura up to an equal level with KCM1 Naruto and EMS Sasuke. That's not quite true. When we look at Sarada's own mother, Sakura with the Byakugo seal went from someone who was stronger than elite Jonin in base and strong enough to hold on with the Kage tier fighter to being in possession of so much chakra, which is used for strength when it's fully unleashed, that it was above 1/3 of 6-pass chakra mode Naruto according to the manga, which is a reminder when Naruto offered to give Obito his chakra to open up the portals to Kaguya's dimension, Obito stated Naruto, who only had 2 shadow clones active at that time, that Naruto didn't have enough chakra to do what was needed, but when Sakura offered to let him use all the chakra inside of her Byakugo seal, Obito didn't even hesitate to state that that would be enough. And as another point of clarification, Naruto doesn't bust out 1,000 clones on Kaguya in the ice dimension until after Obito says this. If the seal can make someone like Sakura leap up several tiers in power to a level such as that, imagine what it could do for someone like Sarada. If we look at where Sarada is right now, even before the Mangekyo Sharingan awakened, nobody would blink an eye if you said that Sarada before the Mangekyo Sharingan was significantly stronger than her mother was at age 16, which is basically the first half of the Shippuden series. Or if you go by the manga, basically volumes 28 to volume 52. When you add in a potential 3-year time skip and a Byakugo seal on top of that, and a Mangekyo Sharingan, she's going to get a lot stronger than her mother was when Obito stated what he did to Naruto and Sakura. Shonen typically have power creeps, but this is a pretty linear line to follow from the franchise's lore, something that once this happens, if it does happen, we're gonna have a lot of people say, oh, this is an ass pull, even though the lore literally has a linear line for you to follow. The boost could be potentially even larger than anything we've seen in the franchise itself because of new information we have. Orochimaru stated the Byakugo seal has links to the Otsutsuki, which means there might be a perfected Byakugo seal that has not yet been managed by any of the shinobi who've mastered it, which makes a ton of sense. Just the Byakugo seal itself is already said to be the pinnacle of chakra control, with a degree of difficulty that even someone like Shizune, someone who Tsunade literally called a prodigy in the manga, even Shizune failed to master this power, but Sakura managed to do so. if there is another gear to the Byakugo that hasn't been discovered, which I do think is the case, there's another increase in power waiting that will have a blank slate to it, and it's not crazy to assume that there's another gear to it. Tsunade might have taught it to Sakura, but as Sakura underwent the training, she found ways to use the Byakugo seal that Tsunade had never thought of, i.e. taking bits of her chakra that was stored into the seal and adding it back into her chakra pool. So Sakura, despite not being at full power, could at least participate in some of the battles that were taking place, because again, medical ninja are not supposed to engage in battle until they master the Byakugo, but Sakura found a way to get around this. However, while that certainly is cool to think about, it's important to keep in mind just how tall of a task this is actually going to be for Sarada. Like, I don't want to burst any bubbles, but this is a huge task to ask. Again, this is the pinnacle of chakra control. I think if we come out the time skip and Sarada pulls this out as a trump card, there are going to be people who downplay it. We'll just call it for what it is, whether it's Boruto hate, whether it's Sarada hate, whatever it is. I'll probably be called a D-writer for this, but I think I'm taking a pretty neutral stance here. Sarada, for as talented as she is, she doesn't have the chakra control required to be average at medical ninjutsu. We've seen as much in the anime. That's not her forte. Her Sharingan allowed her to copy her mother's movements to match her chakra control, but that's still an area where Sarada's going to have to improve in. In that one category alone, she's starting out much further behind than her mother Sakura was at that same age. Sakura, from the very first arc of the manga, was shown to have perfect chakra control to a point where Kakashi rubbed it in the faces of Naruto and Sasuke, and in the manga, even Tsunade was shocked at how quickly Sakura was progressing through the chakra drills for medical ninjutsu in only 3 months, flat out blowing Shizune out the water in terms of how quickly she was doing so. Sarada has a ways to go in that department if we're being honest, but that's also the beauty of time skips and battle shonen. You're able to level characters up extremely quickly, and whatever weaknesses they had before, you're able to drastically fix a lot of them, if not all of them, depending on how far the author is willing to go. It's a complete tabula rasa, i.e. it's a complete blank slate. Your characters can come out the time skip as strong as you want them to be because it all happened off screen, and it requires the readers to be invested in the story as well as to have a suspension of disbelief, and given this is a fantastical world, a suspension of disbelief is something you automatically have while reading this series. I think we all would agree a gradual increase in power, that would be something preferred, but even with Naruto's manga, when you go back and you chart their growth, we saw characters take gigantic leaps forward in power, taking them in chunks, and some of the off-screen power buffs that we got heading into the war arc were just downright disgusting in terms of how much certain characters grew. But again, that's the beauty of short-term and long-term time skips. They're almost like a crutch for the writer. However, I'm curious to know how you guys feel about a Byakugo seal Sarada. Is this the most logical way to beef her up and to run back the clock on her Mangekyo's blindness? While you think that over, click here to watch my every Hashira's origin story in Demon Slayer video on KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN.